Yeah. Conversation for you on that.
Good evening. This is Impact 2023, our continuing conversation where we talk about all different topics from current events to race, religion. We usually talk about those from a perspective of who we are, black male, Christian black male. And so, as always, we hop right into the conversations. For those of you who don't know, this is Fat Tuesday. And so Fat Tuesday, if you ever been to New Orleans, it's the beginning of Mardi Gras, and that's the big party that they have down there. But that's steeped in Christian religion or the Christian faith. So Fat Tuesday is the party before Ash Wednesday. So everybody want to get out there, all their food they're eating. If you're Catholic, they call it Pancake Tuesday. Sometimes the Catholics call it Pancake Tuesday because they want to eat pancakes. But down in New Orleans, this is before Ash Wednesday starts and before Lenten season starts. And so before they go and they start fasting, everybody wants to get all their little eat on and their party on. And so, to all y'all, if you didn't know, again, this is Fat Tuesday, and if you didn't know the history behind that, it's just a little snippet as it goes into. As always, ask people to type your questions and your comments into the comment section. Make sure this is a conversation. And so, as you type your questions and your comments in there, we will address them. It's going up a little weird. All right, but today's topic is a little different. A lot of times we talk about that are going on, and we talk about recently we've been a lot of race heavy topics. But today we're really not on that as much. Today we're talking about economics, money, and so. I have Trey here as well. Trey, thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, to add to the perspective, and then again, we want all of your comments and your questions as well to add to the perspective. So let me just tee it up. It's very simple. Nowadays, you hear a lot of people talking about wealth, and you hear people talking about what you should be doing when you're making money. And so, in your young money making years. They say, all right, look, you need to be saving. You got to get a bank account. You need to be putting money towards the future. Going towards the future. Sacrifice today and go towards the future. And so a lot of younger people actually don't do that. What younger people do, oftentimes, they live their life. Black people, and I just said it won't be race heavy. I'm sorry, I lied. But Black people historically, we've been criticized a lot for being flashy. So we get a little bit of money, we get our first job. Oh, we're gonna have a sweet car. We're gonna wear the nicest clothes, the nicest shoes.
Gotta have the Jordans, gotta have the Versace, and you want the closest thing to the Rolex. Got to have your chains and all of that stuff.
Yeah, we gotta have it, and so we sacrifice tomorrow for today. So people are like, oh, well, you should have put that in the bank account, or you should have invested, or you should have done this and done that. And so there's some criticism a lot of times from people who are saying, we're not doing the right thing. But my question is, though, are we not doing the right thing? Here's what I'll say, and then we can go into it. It's Black History Month. And one of the things that we know is that it has not been very long that Black people have had a lot of economic power and economic opportunity across the board. We've had it in certain situations. There's numerous people we can go down history who said, well, they were doing great here. And then they had places like Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But historically, we haven't had that economic power. And as we've gotten over the years, the 60s and 70s, the 80s and 90s, and now in the 2000s, we now have economic power. We're out here, we buying things and we're doing things. But previous to that, we didn't have it. We're going through the early 1900s. We just got out of slavery. These are like the first couple of generations of people who were able to make money. Yeah. When you get an opportunity to finally get a paycheck, you want to look good. You want to feel good about yourself. For so long, you had to walk around. Your hair couldn't be done.
Come on.
You didn't have no car, no car at all.
Yeah.
you couldn't own a house, you were renting, you were doing this. So when we finally got a little bit, you want to enjoy it.
Wow.
And so culturally,
Wow.
for us, or for some of us, it's our enjoyment period. Yeah, this enjoyment period has been a long time because, again, like I said, like we started making money 50s, 60s going forward, but we're still in that enjoyment period. So culturally, it's our enjoyment period. So how do you feel? Is it because I've come across some older people who have sat back and said, man, these young folk, man, you out here buying gold chains when you should be doing this, or you out here buying these, $500 sneakers when you should be doing this. For the young kids who do that, and for whatever reason, I assume they do it because it makes them feel good and feel better. What is your message to them? Are you with the that crowd who says, no, don't go out here and spend all this money, you need to be saving it, you need to do this? Or are you with the folk who say, don't get on these kids that hard, let them enjoy their life? Where do you come into play on this?
Young man, young sister, what you wear does not define who you are in character nor spirit. An easy way to go broke is to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Live a lifestyle that you cannot maintain. So I guess I'm gonna speak about myself first.
Okay. All right.
I went from making $850 an hour to $80,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first got that check that said $3,600, you know what I did? I bought me a Cadillac.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, everybody that I knew that owned the Cadillacs, they said, hey, man, that Joker is expensive to maintain, Jack.
Yes.
I said, man, I'm $80,000 short. I'm gonna maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really thinking that I was changing.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't, in my mind, hey, I'm celebrating. Splurge, 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 splurge.
Yeah.
Company shut down. You know what happened? The person who owned the company, he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Was not able to buy the company back. Now, Trey attitude has been splurge, 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 splurge.
Right.
Boy, I ain't had no money in my bank. I ain't had no money in my bank account because I splurged everything. I went from buying Cadillacs, the shoes, the clothes, because I wanted to have an outfit that matches the car. That's when we get carried away.
Yeah.
Your outfit has to match your car. Young man, young sister, listen. If I was trying to keep up with the Joneses and I was getting that kind of money and fell on my face, if we being honest, half of my young brothers and sisters, we not even making that. Mm-hmm. Most of us don't even got $3,000 in the bank, if we're going to be honest. But we're wearing outfits that is $500-$600. Right. Does that make any sense?
Right.
Some of us, we come from poverty. Some of us, we come from poor middle class. Some of us, we come from middle class. But on average, we all in between that.
Got it, and that's a good point. We've got a comment. No one should live beyond their means. However, not a lot of people have that mindset. Now, that's a good point. But I'll say this. Again, we talk about Black and brown people a little bit in this situation, just because I know that perspective, because I happen to be Black and brown people. But I know some people with some money. And we all come across people with some money from time to time. And we all know that story, that old man or woman who got a beat up truck, got busted looking clothes.
Come on.
But they're a millionaire. But I'll say this though.
Come on.
I do okay. I know some folk who, whatever restaurant I'm going to, they going to. Whatever vacation I can do, they go do. I have a nice car. They have a nice car. They make maybe 1/3 as much as I make. So the difference between me and them is that when I go to my bank account, I got some money there. Maybe I got my retirement kind of, starting to go.
Yeah.
They go to their bank account, they got nothing. But I will say they're living the same life that I'm living. And so even though somebody who's a millionaire, and I would say, well, what's the point of being a millionaire or billionaire, whatever? What's the point of you working hard? You staying up late, you put in the extra hours, the extra work, the extra sweat equity to make all this extra money. If you're gonna live the exact same lifestyle as me.
Come on.
So to those people who are sitting back and they're just spending everything today or living outside their means, are they really doing wrong? Because they're living the exact same lifestyle that I'm living. And so if we take it kind of on a biblical level, let's take it to the Bible.
Okay.
Jesus gave this story where he was talking about this rich man. And again, before I say this, I want everybody to realize that, you know, when you're in church, we take this a different way. So I'm using this example, but it's not what you're typically going to hear in church. So Jesus talks about this man. He is a rich man, wealthy man. He has these silos and he's filling up with all this stuff. He's like, oh man, I got all this stuff. I got all this money. I'm rich. I'm gonna fill all these silos up. And basically, the genesis of the story is that Jesus then says, God says, all right, I take, you fool, I demand your life tonight. Wow. So he done made all this stuff. He done stacked all of this stuff up. Can't enjoy it. Yeah. Whereas you got somebody poor, as soon as they get their money, boom, they spend it and they enjoy it. What are we saving for? Especially when we're talking about Black people, because we sit back here, a lot of us don't see the future. You know, we get to 40 years old and we were like, man, I didn't think I was gonna get hit. Or we get to 60 years old, because Black men, we have a lot of issues. You'd be like, man, I didn't think I was gonna get here. So why not spend the day? Why not live in the moment? Why, if I look at the Bible and Jesus is basically saying be in the moment, or you can interpret that as saying that.
Yes.
Why not live in the moment? What is this big save? Are we being that bad by being outside of our means?
What am I saving for? Because I believe it was Job who was the first one that I seen in the Bible. His wife told him, she said, why don't you curse God and die? Remember, Job had lost all his livestock. He had lost his children, and a lot of other things that he owned. Mm-hmm. He was blessed, but he was a righteous man, and God had prospered him. All right. Job said, naked I came into this world, and naked shall I leave. Mm-hmm. And that was a man that had everything. He said, naked I came into this world, and naked I shall leave. What are we saving for?
And I think you've hit it. I dare say that, being the prudent thing of saving and really sitting back here. And again, I'm not telling you don't save. I have a retirement account. I got investments. I do have that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that. But are you saving because you're scared? You're living a life of scared. And we need to be living a life of, at the end of the day, I'm gonna go through life. I'm not gonna be irresponsible and stupid.
Yeah.
But
splurge. But
I'm not sitting here scared. Yeah. You got those people who write into am I okay to retire? I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, if we believe that God is gonna take care of us, we don't need to be living scared. Or am I totally off and totally wrong? Please, if y'all think I am, put in some comments. And I'm not saying that this is my opinion. This is the things that we've gone through the process. Are we living scared? Or is the message what young people are doing by living in the moment and living the day more so about not living scared, not being afraid, knowing that I'm going to be okay. There is a God who has everything. Not that I'm irresponsible and just going to sit out here and just blow it all, but I don't have to be sitting here denying myself the enjoyment and the pleasures of the day. Is that where we should be? Because you can look at we can go in the Bible again. We can look at the prodigal son. You got the son who went out here, blew his whole entire thing. Well, got his inheritance from his father early, went out here, blew the whole entire thing, came back to his father later on. He was all right. At the end of the day, he was all right. Is that where we should be? Should we be living a little bit more free? Because I think if we live a little bit more free for some folks, I'm not going to be as tight when it comes time to give to God, or tight when it comes to give to others. I know that God's got me. I'm not really worried about the future. If somebody needs, I can give. Or are we sitting back here saying, well, I can give this, but I got to make sure I'm good because I need to get this generational wealth.
Come on.
I don't know. I don't know. Am I totally off? Let me know. Another comment. We are expressing savings or covetousness. Oh, that's a great point. And for those of you who may be watching who doesn't know what it means to covet, covet kind of lust over other people's finances, their financial situations, or their keeping up with the Joneses, like you say.
Keeping up with.
That's a great point. Are we doing this and flashing because we're making ourselves feel better, or is it because we're trying to be like somebody else? We covet what somebody else has. That's a great point. That is a great point. I'll say one more thing to ask this question. Unfortunately, right now, what we have out here is that for young women, this is probably one of the worst times in recent history that we've had. They said 1 in 3 young women. When I say young women, I'm saying women between the ages of basically 10 to about 25. They said 1 in 3 women have thought about suicide. They said that the number of women who have been bullied, assaulted, or harassed is almost at 100%. So between that level right now. They said right now in this moment in time in the United States, young women are under constant attack. And we're surprised a little bit because we just went through the Me Too movement. We've come so far. We have a vice president who's a woman. But right now, young women are really under attack. The suicide rates amongst young women is extremely high. So this is also one of the populations that spends the most money. They want to make their hair look good. They want to make sure that they have that Instagram photo. Wow. They want to make sure that they are, having nice cars and things like that. It's clearly not working to spend all of this money. But should we, sit back and be like, all right, maybe you do need to spend so you can feel good and not feel bad. Don't commit suicide, you get your self-esteem. Or is it just proof that spending money doesn't get you what you need? Because if that's one of the biggest spending populations, and at the same time, that's the population that's under attack as far as suicide, depression, on and on and on. I know the answer to this. Is money going to solve some of those problems when it comes to self-esteem?
Wow. Man, money is not going to solve self-esteem. Mm-hmm. Man, we need some. Love is important. Love is more important than money.
Yeah.
See, love is more important than money because if you were in love with you, your skin, your smile, mm-hmm. having the ability to think. God gave you a mind. Some of us have creative minds. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you were in love with you, suicide wouldn't cross your mind. Suicide would not cross your mind. Suicide would not cross your mind.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking that from experience. It's amazing how a thing could be so beautiful, but somewhere inside of that thing, there is a dark place, a dark thought that is growing. Yeah. And it's saying suicide, kill yourself, mm-hmm. hurt yourself. You're not pretty enough. You ain't got no money. Mm-hmm. You don't look like her on TV. You not thick like that. Your hair not real like that. Your skin don't glow like that.
Yeah.
Your eyes not pretty like that. Your hands not thin like that. You don't walk like them. Mm-hmm. But could hear upliftment from the opposite sex. Yeah. A man could say, hey, how you doing, gorgeous? Good evening, lovely. Oh, I just wanted to make you smile. Go on about his business. And then you go right back to that rut. Because of what you choose to believe. You got to value yourself, young woman. And young man, you got to know that the things that you wear, they carry no value. You think they carry value, but they don't carry value. You could learn a skill. You could be good at something and attract everything that you need.
Yeah.
You could learn how to sing, learn how to speak in public. You could train your body. You know, you could have a mind. You can just be consistent at doing something.
Yeah.
And that could be attractive or appealing to people. And now people see that you have hope, a dream, a vision, and now people see value within you, and they're looking for you for upliftment.
Yeah, I think you hit it on a good point. We're gonna circle back to this comment because I think the comment hits exactly where you're talking about. When you're talking about you need to love yourself, and I guess we talked. The whole thing about where we started was, is it okay that we're spending all this money, or that certain groups are spending all this money and not investing towards the future, spending all this money on today, living outside their means. But if you're loving yourself, and as this comment says, are we expressing saving or covetousness? Are we coveting and just trying to be like other people? Like you were just saying, they're talking about, oh, my hair doesn't look like this, or my body doesn't look like this. And they want to spend money to make themselves feel better. When in reality, it's not gonna work.
Yes.
They need to love themselves. And so it comes back to this comment, is this whole movement of, all right, I need these shoes and these clothes and these things being covetousness, or, coveting other people. Maybe it has nothing to do with fear and living your life today. It is, are you doing the things that make you happy, or are you just trying to do what everybody else is doing, thinking that it makes you happy? Do you really want a big giant gold chain, or are you wearing a big giant gold chain because you've seen somebody else wearing it? Are you wearing these shoes because you really think they look good?
Yes.
Are you spending all this money because you really, want it, or are you trying to find love?
Yeah.
And as the church, I guess we should sit back and there shouldn't be any fear. So, at the end of the day, when it's, I shouldn't be scared to give money to the church or scared to pay my tithes or my offerings because I think I'm gonna lose it. No, get that fear out. But at the same time, maybe I wouldn't waste all my money trying to covet others if I did love myself, or if I did understand that, the love that God has. Let's hit this comment. This is a good one. You need to see yourself as having worth. The word of God tells us that we are the children of God. Jesus, who was God's son, was so valuable that God raised him from the dead. And that right there, that's what we're saying. You got to have worth. Yes. So if you feel all the richness in yourself, you don't need it. Back to the what we're talking about with the rich man, or the rich person that we know, that we all know, the one with the beat up truck, the one who looked terrible. At the end of the day, he feels great about himself.
He does.
He's successful according to the world. He's got money, so he doesn't have to go buy a nice truck. He doesn't have to go buy nice clothes. So I guess it comes back to the fact that, I look at people who, when they got money and they don't spend it and don't wear nice stuff, I'm like, man, you wasting that money. I need to have that money because you ain't doing right. But in reality, they feel great about themselves.
Come on.
And they don't need any of it.
Wow.
Because they feel good. So right back with what you were saying, like
contentment.
Yeah, you got to love yourself.
Come on, you got to love yourself. You have to be content with you, and that's the thing, right? In between the covetousness and in between the saving money, covetousness, we have the contentment. The contentment, well, you know what? God gave me an able mind. God gave me 2 eyes. God gave me a nose. Even if I don't have all 5 of my senses, I have something.
Yep.
And all I got to do is work with what I got, babe. That's all I got to do. That's all I got to do.
Yeah.
And be cool and content and fall in love with that right there. We've got to be content, young man and young woman.
All right. Got some comments coming in. We live in a society that encourages assimilation. Absolutely. Everybody got to look a certain way. That's why like you hit on it. That's why the surgeries are so high. Everybody want to have the same body. All everybody want to look the same. You're right. It encourages assimilation. Another one. The question is: are these individuals accepting Jesus, or are they putting their trust in their riches? Ah, that's a good one. Yeah, they're finding their happiness through money.
Come on.
I feel like. What do you think about that comment?
What are you pouring into your spirit? What kind of music are you listening to?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you watching?
Mm-hmm.
Are you listening to a person that is materialistic and feeding off of them like they're your pastor? Mm-hmm. Or are you actually listening to somebody with some sense? If you don't have a mind of your own to figure it out.
Yeah.
And which is nothing wrong with that, because in life, we're going to learn as we go. Everything is repetitious and we're going to think ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows everything. Some of us, hey, you got the right to move at your pace, but we want to grow in the right way. We want to learn in the right way,
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to do it, man, watching Christ. That Bible, there's a beautiful acronym for that. Basic instructions before leaving earth. You might as well follow Jesus.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna tell you nothing wrong. Come on now.
Yeah.
You got, man, even I was able to speak to a Buddhist. He not big on Christianity, but he heard of that name. That Jesus name.
You're right. Yeah. Oh no,
He said, salvation comes through Jesus. When I said Jesus, he listened because he heard that name before. He said, where did Jesus say that?
Mm-hmm.
And I had the opportunity to open that Bible up and present that to him. Them letters was marked in red. You know how they are. That's when Christ speaks, when the letters is red.
When it's in red. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's a good one. That's a good one. I know this was a little different. But I want to say that I think it's important that we talk about everything in church. And so, sometimes some churches, they talk about money all the time, which is crazy. But some churches don't ever talk about money unless we're talking about tithing. So I think that sometimes we got to have these conversations so that, real world conversations. So we can sit back and, hey man, is it okay to just splurge out here? Or why are you splurging? Is it because you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, or is it because you feel bad about yourself? Like the reason is important. Another comment. The world tells us what we need and what we should desire, what we should have to be somebody. Yeah, and that's that. I think that's right there. We trying to keep up. A lot of us are trying to keep up with a standard. If you're wearing a lot of stuff, high value stuff, because that's just what you like and that's just what you want to do, I think it's okay. If you're wearing it to keep up, or if you're doing it to the world standard, I think that's incorrect. If you're not saving and you're living in the moment and in today, I'm not going to really get on you like that. Because tomorrow's not promised, as they say. I don't think it's a good idea not to save for the future. But at the end of the day, especially if you're a Black person, I am not going to just beat you up and say you're horrible because you're living today.
We're dealing with real people and a lot of them.
Yes,
it's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot of them doing it.
Yes, it is a lot.
We want y'all. We want it to be received.
Yeah.
Well, step on toes with this one.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
But before we leave, because we're at our time, I'm gonna say this one thing though, and this is some financial. Check with your financial advisor, whatever. This is financial advice that I'm gonna give, especially to some of us who are older. Black people, one of the things that we used to, and brown people, one of the things that our people would be like, yeah, I'm gonna make this money so I can pass it down to my kids when I die. And that would be the thing that they would say. That is a horrible idea. And I just want to put this out there. And if you disagree, you disagree. But I think that's a horrible idea. And the reason being is, your grandma sit back and she said, I'm gonna save all this money. When I die, I'm gonna pass it down to my daughter. She lived to be 90 years old. She died. She passed it down to her 70-year-old daughter. I don't think that is helping because she already done retired. You 70. So you done live to be 90. You can pass down $500,000 to your 70-year-old. She ain't benefiting off of that. She can live a little while longer. She can pass it down to her 50 or 40-year-old. That ain't really doing a thing. If you have some money and you're older and you have some kids and they're in their 20s, 30s, whatever, invest in them now. Don't wait till you die to try to give the money down. Because you're investing in them now could have them have a house. You're investing in it instead of renting. And get your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren into a different neighborhood. Instead of being in a situation where they're renting, they can be in a situation where they're buying, and they can be in a neighborhood where they can run outside and do all the kind of things they want to do, you know. Or they could start a business, or they could pay off some debt. Whatever you want to do, don't wait until you die to pass it down. That is not how you build up your family. That is not how you build up your legacy. Invest in people today. And if you don't think that they're ready, then invest in with them together. Walk with them hand in hand. Allow them to build a business off the back of you. Because if you wait, again, God willing, everybody that's listening is going to live to be 90. It does you no good to give your children who are going to be 70 or maybe 60 $500,000, $1 million. They already retired at that age. You ain't doing no good. So all of us, invest in your family today. All right. We're way past our time, Trey, man. Thank you so much. This was absolutely great. Man, I know this was a different topic. Everybody who was able to put in some comments, thank you. Everybody who's listening, please hear what we're saying today. This is it's not cut and dry, but the cut and dry parts are. Don't be trying to keep up with the Joneses. And like as Trey said, man, love yourself. And if you can't love yourself, love Jesus, who will love you and show you how to love yourself. So if you can't love yourself at all, I mean, love Jesus anyway. But if you can't love yourself, put all your love into Jesus.
Yes.
Thank you. As always, we're here every week. Thursday, here for Thursday, same place, 7 o'clock. And on Sunday at 10 o'clock as well, same place, YouTube or Facebook. Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you, Lord.